So today we're excited to bring you some testing of the new lineup from Titleist, TSR2, 3, and 4. The TSR lineup is replacing the last 2-year model, the TSI lineup. The TSI lineup for the last 2 years, fantastic. We did a lot of fitting with it over the last couple of years, sold a lot of heads, great product. So I'm really excited to see the new technology, some innovation that they brought to the new TSR lineup. These new 3 heads at the moment they have, the TSR2, 3, and 4. You've had a chance to look them over a little bit. We haven't hit them yet. We're gonna do that in a second. What have you noticed? What have you kind of read about it, and what have you seen about them?
So the TSR2, just like the TSI2, is a little bit more of a high launch draw biased. Not a lot. They've dropped the spin on that. They brought in the back part of that golf club, so it's not quite as pronounced in the back. It's not as drawn back, so it's a little bit more of a pear shape. Titleist really hangs their hat on making golf clubs really look good. Their final phase of R&D is getting it in tour players' hands, and tour player feedback is very important to them. That just happened a couple of weeks ago. The TSR3, a lot of the same kind of characteristics as the TSI3. Same kind of weight port, a little bit different. The aesthetics are a little bit different. Aerodynamics have been increased pretty substantially. The shape is very similar to the way that the TSI series was. And then the TSR4, big changes here. They've moved the weights. So now there are 2 weight ports. So those weight ports can really change the way that the ball comes off that head. They've stuck with the same kind of titanium they used in the TSI series. That TSI series had great titanium, really fast ball speed. It retained ball speed on mishits, which is one of the best things that they've done with that series, and they carried it over to this series. Really excited to hit them.
Absolutely, and you know, the first thing I noticed about the heads is the look. You know, it's a classic Titleist look. You know, year after year, they kind of do the same thing as far as the look is concerned, and a lot of those Titleist kind of golfers love that, and I do too. It looks really clean, nice glossy finish. The TSR2, 3, 4, like we talked about, we're going to test them today. We're going to go through and we're going to hit a few shots. I'm going to have Blake hit a few shots while I do kind of the fitting aspect of it, and we're going to kind of compare the numbers. We're going to see what sets, you know, what head apart from each other, and kind of go from there. You ready to hit a few shots?
I'm excited about it.
All right, let's go roll. Bomb some. The first one we're going to test is the TSR2. This is considered the more forgiving model of the 3. We're gonna have Blake hit a few shots here and kind of give us some feedback as we go through the process. So, Blake, you play the Titleist header currently, don't you?
Yeah, I have the TSI3.
TSI3, how long have you been playing that for?
Right around 2 years.
A couple years.
Yeah,
so
this
will be great for Blake, honestly, to test and give us some feedback as well with these heads as he's been playing the previous model. So, let's do the TSR2 first. Let's hit about 3 shots and we'll talk about it.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
All right, so first look, you know, I mean, when you're looking at a driver and it's like on a table, it's a little different when you put it down. The optics change a little bit. I can tell you that this part looks a lot better than I thought it would.
Okay.
It's really good. I mean, that's a big improvement. All right. Missed that one a bit, but it didn't curve too much.
One swing, how's the feel so far, just off the get-go?
Right off the bat, feels solid. It sounds a lot like the TSI, the TSI3.
Okay.
To be honest with you. That was a little overcorrection, but I hammered it.
Yeah, that was a good strike there,
That was
a little right
hard.
to left. And the TSR2 with this model too is going to play a little bit more right to left, especially for a player like yourself that's used to a little more open face, correct?
Yep, but when I look down at it, it doesn't look like it's pointed left.
Okay.
Like that's a good thing for me. If I put a driver down and it looks like it's going to start left, I'm not in. This looks good. See if I can hit a good one now. A little on the toe, a little tumbler.
That's not a bad miss for a toe shot though, right?
Yeah, it's not a bad miss at all.
And I think that's where that TR2 lineup comes into play a lot, right? It's the most forgiving model of the 3.
Yep.
You know, you get those toe shots, maybe little heel shots. You might get a touch more spin than the other 2 models, but that keeps it online a little bit more for you.
That was a good one.
It's a good ball there.
Lost my balance a little bit. That was a good one.
All right, bring it on back. All right, TSR3 profile. So this will be kind of comparing almost apples to apples to yours. I do want to point out that the TSR3 has a speed ring VFT face as well as the TSR4 as well. Now the TSR2, which we previously hit, does have the VFT face in it.
Yes.
Kind of talk about that a little bit.
Variable face thickness. So Really what that means is it's kind of like a ripple in the back of that face. So that part of that face is going to be a lot more forgiving on off-center hits. So you go high toe, you go low heel, it's going to retain the ball speed. And that's what Titleist has put in this.
Yeah, so those off-center hits, I mean, you're going to see a lot more forgiveness, not just dispersion-wise, but that extra ball speed, right?
Yep.
I mean, every company obviously out there is trying to look for ways to improve ball speed. How can we do it every year after year? And I think they've probably done it with this. So really interested to see how the speed ring does on the TSR3 and 4 here. So we're going to hit the TSR3. Let's hit a few shots with this, and we'll see how the numbers turn out.
All right. So the TSR3, so when I put it down, it's like home. They didn't change much about the way that this looks. That's a good thing, because I think they hit a home run in the beginning. The TSI and now the TSR look the same.
Now, Blake, with the TSR3, you know, in the back, they got that adjustability, which they had the last 2 years.
Yep.
Right? And I know a lot of players, and even better players, like that, right? To kind of have it tweak and fine-tune a little bit. Is that something you've messed with in the past? Do you like messing with that a little bit, or at least fine-tuning it, or where are you at with that?
So a lot of times I will miss it high toe. So I'll move that weight port just a little bit toward the toe.
Okay.
And I'll put the mass behind the strike, get a little bit more ball speed.
And you can see just right off the get-go from the TSR2 to the TSR3 how you're a little more left to right ball flight, right?
Yep.
It can take you a couple swings to get used to, but
Yep.
it is a little bit more open face, if you will, versus the TSR2.
Yeah, a little bit more fade bias, but you know, as you said, you can adjust it.
Yep.
A little bit high on the face, but you know, felt great.
Well, and your club head speed, what, about 118 or so?
Yeah, 118.
I've seen a
120.
couple here at 119, 120, so that might say a little bit about kind of the aerodynamics of what they've done this year.
That's exactly
how they've
right,
got
yep.
that speed up a little bit. So 120 is pretty good.
That was hit.
All right, bring that on back.
Yeah, that was really good.
Nice ball right there. So with this guy here, the TSR3, what I saw was just a touch lower spin. Obviously, there's a little more fade bias, which we kind of expect. What kind of impressed me, which I think is a good thing, is you got the ball up in the air pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, typically when you go from a TSR2 to the 3, you're going to have a little lower ball flight. But they actually got the ball up in the air pretty good.
Yeah,
which,
good
you know, I do want to say this too, with all these heads, you know, the SureFit technology from the tip section from Titleist, they've had that for a number of years, right?
Yep.
So if you have a shaft or you have a setting that you like, it's the same type of setting, which is nice. They don't change that up too much over the last number of years.
All right, the TSR4, excited about this. I can tell you that 430 looks really good. When you look at that, it's like, okay, all that weight's forward, this should really go fast.
Man, I'm impressed how these balls are launching up in the air.
Wow.
You know, with that spin being lower with this TSR4, that extra launch is not a bad thing.
Yeah, that was high and low spin.
Yep, 2,300 spin on that guy. 291 carry, 315, so good ball.
There's another one. So with the weight forward, it's making a little bit more of a pop sound.
Would you say that's good, bad, or just indifferent?
Yeah, I mean, it's good. It
Okay.
sounds fast. That one was drilled.
Yeah, I turned over a little baby draw there. Go and hit one more for us.
Yep. A little pulled, but I hit it hard.
So being a better player yourself, where could you see this guy, you know, in the bag potentially, or are you still kind of leaning that TSI3 with a little extra forgiveness, or do you like that smaller profile?
I could put any of these in the bag.
Yeah.
Right now.
Like I said, I'm impressed with this lineup right now, the height that they're getting out of these. And obviously during a full fitting, you go through it and you can adjust down and up as what you need to. But really impressed at the 9 degrees, all the heads getting that ball up in the air like you are. So we just got done testing the new TSR lineup from Titleist, TSR2, 3, and 4. Blake, what'd you think overall?
You know, overall, the looks, performance, the way it felt, everything was right what I thought a Titleist would be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, right on with the spin rate, exactly what we thought it would be. Ball speed, a little quicker, about 1 mile an hour quicker in the TSR2, which what we'd expect, right? It's a little more forgiving head. Being a 460cc, TSR3 460, and then the 430 with the TSR4, you would expect a little more ball speed from the more forgiving head. You're right, you did hit the TSR4 a little further. You know, being a better player yourself, it's something you could play, it's something you could handle, and you do expect to get a little less spin like we saw. The ball is going to chase out a little further. So I do really like that. You know, going through all the data and seeing the numbers that we saw today and kind of what Titleist, you know, kind of shows and expects from their new lineup, they're expecting about 2 to 4 miles an hour quicker from, you know, ball speed from their drivers. The TR2 lineup, little less spin than the TSI2 from last year, which we did see as well. And then also the TSR4, so the more forgiving model, or the less forgiving model was actually a touch more forgiving than their past model. So that's really great to see. So overall, I think it's got a great lineup. Again, they are improving on what they've done the last couple of years, which was an incredible driver. So I'm excited to see what it does in the players' hands as well.